A man arrested in connection with the murder of a student from the Tshwane University of Technology will appear in court this morning. Ntokozo Xaba, a final year student, was found with multiple stab wounds at her residence last week. According to eyewitnesses, she was last seen with her ex-boyfriend the night before. Let's get you the latest on the story from the institution itself. We're joined by TUT's vice-chancellor, Professor Tinyiko Maluleke, joins us via our video link this morning. Prof, thanks very much indeed for coming onto the program. What can you tell us at this stage about what you know happened?
Let me begin by just stating that the Tshwane University of Technology is in mourning. The students are inconsolable. But our grief and our sadness is clearly nothing compared to the desolation of the family. And I think all of us, staff, students, council of the university, the whole nation, should send our strength and prayers and love to that family. I think that for us is the first and most important task during this period. What we know for sure is that Ntokozo Xaba was a brilliant student in her third year and was on her way, in our view, to making a contribution to development in this country and to the economy of this country. We know that she did not just die. All indications are that she was murdered. And as you rightly stated, someone has been arrested for this in terms of the allegations that are now available to us. We have not yet received the police report, the official report, so we are unable to say more about that than what we know. All we know is that we are currently in mourning as an institution, and we know that this, unfortunately, is not a situation that is either unique or confined to our university. It is a national problem. But all of that do not console the family who have lost a child whom they sent to university to get skills.
Absolutely. What a massive loss for her family, as you say, Prof, for her community, for her friends at university. It's difficult this morning to, just a few days after her murder, to wrap our minds around her senseless killing and this challenge that we're sitting with, apparently, at our institutions of higher learning. This is not an isolated incident, as you say.
No, it's not an isolated incident. You will all recall not so long ago the incident at UCT where a young student was murdered, the incident at Fort Hare where a young student was murdered. And in society at large, I mean, we all know about Pule, we all know about many other young women who die in the hands of people who used to be their boyfriends or their lovers. So there is a national problem. Our generation is either a witness or an accessory to a crime, or worse still, we are bystanders as far as these crimes are happening in our own country. We at the Tshwane University of Technology are willing and ready to work with government, given that government now has a gender-based violence strategy, to work with the higher education sector. You will have seen the statement of the Minister of Higher Education in this regard, indicating some of the initiatives that the higher education sector has already embarked on. Ourselves at TUT have got a Senate gender-based violence task team. We are doing an audit of all our policies. We have a GBV project, Victim Empowerment Center, at our Soshanguve campus. We have a desk for gender-based violence at our Faculty of Arts and Design, and many other initiatives. But none of these will console the family. But we as a nation, we as institutions of higher education have to continue to fight this scourge. We cannot allow it to become a permanent feature of our social arrangements.
The scourge of gender-based violence, Professor Maluleke, is one that we're battling in South Africa, and of course universities and institutions of higher learning are part of our communities, right? They are indicative of what's happening in our communities. It's perhaps even more heartbreaking because of what you've just said, because TUT has been leading the pack in many respects insofar as trying to address the scourge is concerned. With those two, they were called national firsts at the time. The launch of these two institutions, a campus community safety forum and a victim empowerment center. These were announced in September of last year.
Yes, you know, the temptation to be discouraged, especially at this time of mourning, is a huge one. The temptation to be discouraged if one is a South African who has been following this scourge as it ravages through our community, it's tempting to give up and to say it makes no difference, but we can't. We can't allow ourselves to resign to the scourge. We have to work with the boys, the men, the young women of this country. We have to continue to believe that behavior can be changed and that there is really no excuse for gender-based violence. Of all the violences, if you will pardon the English, that we suffer in this country, gender-based violence is the most dastardly, it's the most cowardly, it's the most heinous, in my view. It is really something that we have to continue to fight against using our policies, using the initiatives such as the ones you mentioned, but also the ones we have on TikTok among students, and aligning ourselves to the national gender-based strategy that has been set out by the presidency.
Yeah, changing behavior and changing mindsets, Prof. Maluleke. What is the support that the university will be offering to the family of this young woman, Ntokozo Xaba?
We have already been engaging almost daily with the family, providing them with psychological, but we also looking for ways to give them material support at this time. We intend to be present at the funeral as soon as we get the details thereof, but we are in communication with the family, who have humbled us in terms of the manner with which they have been engaging with us. They want a dignified funeral for their child, and we are working with them towards that goal. But above all, we pray for a day when a student who arrives at university to get skills does not go back home as a corpse, that they go back home with a qualification. So we are walking this difficult journey with the family at this time, and we will inform you as soon as we have details of the funeral, which will take place, we are told, in the Eastern Cape. That is where her maternal family is located.
Sure. What a heartbreaking sentiment there, Prof. Maluleke. Thanks very much for joining us. That a woman arriving at university does not leave in a body bag, but rather with a qualification. It seems like such a simple ask. Professor Tinyiko Maluleke is TUT's vice-chancellor as we continue to track the murder of Ntokozo Xaba. She was a final year student found with multiple stab wounds just last week.